In this video, I'm going to be walking through the core functionality of the RetroMic mining tools. There's been a lot of interest lately in the mining tools, and a lot of questions have been popping up, so I figured I'd do an updated walkthrough of pretty much all of the core features that are in place. So if you're new, this is definitely the video to check out if you're curious as to what functionality is currently in place. So right off the bat, everything is web-based, right? So from a configuration standpoint, you're looking at a web-based UI. It's an easy one-click installer from within Hive OS. You can just run the command from a Hive OS rig dashboard, or you can remote into your rig and execute the command to run the installer. What that'll do is that will set up a service that runs on one of your rigs. You can also run it via Docker, or you can just install it on a Raspberry Pi, any Windows machine, any Linux machine. It's cross-platform. It should work on pretty much any device. So once it's up and running, it'll just be a service, and by default it'll be running on port 7000. This specific instance I'm going to be walking through is in Docker, and so I have a port mapping of port 8085 to 7000, so that's why I'm accessing this one on port 8085. Once you get in here, I'm just going to run through the menu options. So you've got your dashboard. This is going to contain all of your logs, and it's going to be pre-filtered down to only the messages that should really matter to you. In the event you want to view everything the system's doing, you can just come to the log type, click the filter, hit clear. This will clear out the filter that's applied, and it'll show you everything. So it'll show you every time it's running a profit switching routine, every time it's running the donation checking routine, and essentially every time it's going out to an exchange to try to auto exchange for you. We'll get into all those features here in a minute. I just wanted to kind of show you that it is pre-filtered, and if you ever want to purge the logs, you can just hit purge logs. It'll purge all the logs for you. And this will, when it's profit switching, this will get you the projected profitability at the time that profit switching happened. So here you can see on this one I have a gold shell ASIC, the LB box, that it actually switched from direct mining LBC to mining library on Zergpool, because Zergpool's paying more right now than direct mining it. And that projected profitability is around 40.4 cents. Alright, hopping over to core configuration. This is where you're going to set up a lot of core system settings. So things like, if you have a promo code, you can plug your promo code in here. Plug in your default power price. You will need to plug in your Hive OS API key and Hive OS Farm ID if you're going to profit switch on Hive OS. You don't have to profit switch Hive OS. You can use this just for auto exchanging. You can use it just for gold shell ASIC profit switching. Pretty much do anything you want with it. And then here you can set the profitability difference threshold. So what this does is this says, in order for the system to profit switch, I want the current most profitable coin to be at least 10% higher than the coin I'm currently mining. This will prevent, and again, you can set this to whatever you want, but this will prevent the system from constantly jumping between coins when there's only 1 or 2 cents difference in profitability, which is kind of the state that we're at right now. Everything is so close in profitability, or lack of, that you don't want that constant jumping around. So that's what that's for. If you have a CoinMarketCap API key, you can plug that in here. I'm currently working with CoinMarketCap to see if we can get them to sponsor the application and basically provide an all-app API key for everybody. But this is essentially, this will allow you to view your exchange balances in US dollar representation. And then you have two options here. If you're running self-hosted, that you can show the estimated profit on the rig, and you can also show it on each individual coin. I'll get into that when I show you those settings. Here's where you can turn on profit switching, and you get to define the schedule. So this is a cron-based schedule. You can head on over to cronmaker.com if you're unsure of how to build out that expression. But this expression I have in place basically says run every 15 minutes at the 0-second mark. If I wanted to run this, let's say, every 20 minutes, I could change this to 20, and here we can see this would now run at 9:20, 9:40, 10 o'clock, and so on. If I wanted to run it, let's say I wanted to run it every 5 minutes, I could do that. And if I wanted to adjust an offset, such as I want it to run every 5 minutes, but I don't want it to run on the 5-minute mark, I want it to offset itself by 3 minutes, I could do that. So then it would run at 9:13, 9:18, and so on. Just go ahead and leave that as a default. And same thing with auto exchanging. So here you can see I have my profit switching set at every 15 minutes and my auto exchanging set at every 30 minutes. If we head on over to mining groups are a way where if you have variable rate power such that it is deterministic. So let's say, for an example, you have a set power price that is, you know what it is from, let's say, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., right? And then from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., you have a different power price. You can use this. You can plug those in. And then whenever you're defining your coins, you can actually tell it to only mine certain coins during the day, only mine certain coins at night. You can let that factor in, and it will essentially allow you to mine certain coins. Like if you want to mine Capel algorithm coins or ProgPal algorithm coins only when you're on the cheapest electrical rate, you can do that. And then when you're on a high electrical rate, maybe you'll want to switch to Ergo or Vertcoin or something less power hungry. You can use mining groups for those. You can set up as many mining groups as you want. If we hop on over to the Hive OS rigs page, this is where you can define all your rigs. Once you have the core configuration screen set up, you can come over here and you can hit import Hive OS rigs. It'll import all your rigs for you, so you don't have to create them each individually. And then what you can do is, we'll create a test one real quick. And then we've got a couple profit switching modes. So profit is essentially you're going to let the system profit switch based on current profit. It's that simple. That's probably the most common one. There's also coin stacking mode. With coin stacking, the system will actually mine, it'll look at the profitability, but it'll look at it based on the revenue in the amount of coin. So right now, if we head over what to mine, we're probably going to see you can earn a bunch of Meow coin, or you can earn a lot of newer coins, and you can stack those. This option basically does that. So it says, if I can accumulate 1,000 Meow coin, or I can mine 0.0001 ETH, whatever it may be, it's going to do the Meow coin for you, right? It's going to stack whatever you want to stack. Similar, we have diversification by profit and by stacking. And what that does is that says, the diversification side says, I want to accumulate a set amount and hold it, right? So it'll, and you have the option to do based on profit or based on stacking. So what that means is I could tell it the profit switch, I want it to mine the most profitable until I reach a set threshold. And then I want it to stop, and I want it to move on to the next coin that I have set. Same thing with stacking, except it will do it based on the stacking amount. And then there's also Zergpool algo profit basis. This will probably be decommissioned in the future, just because this has kind of been merged in with the regular profit switching. But this one allows you to basically just point to Zergpool and just let it profit switch based on its calculations. There is a pin ticker option. This basically becomes an override. So new coin comes out, let's say like when Radiant came out. If you just wanted to mine Radiant and you didn't want the profit switch or anything, but you didn't want to come in and change any of your configurations, you could just set up Radiant as a coin, pin it, and it will mine it, and basically just keep mining it until you turn that pin off. Same thing with the algo. With the what to mine endpoint, the way this one works is for a given rig, you're going to want to head over to what to mine. And here, just as an example, I've got 8 A2000s. You want to make sure your power cost is right. Profitability, you want to set to current, where's it at? Current profit. And make sure averages is current values. And we're going to hit calculate. And what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this whole thing. And we're going to paste it over here. And then I'll show you once I hit update. Smart plug type. This allows you to have the rig shut down if the profitability drops below a given threshold. So let's say you're okay with losing up to $1 a day per rig. If you're losing more than $1 for that rig, you just want it to turn off. If you have one of the supported smart plugs, you can set that up here, set the minimum profit, and it will actually auto shut down for you. So once profitability drops below that threshold, it'll shut the rig off. And then once profitability goes above that threshold, it'll turn it back on for you. So to do that, right now Casa is the only one. We're looking at some other options. But right now Casa is the only one. And all you do is just plug in the IP address of your Casa device and whatever that profit is. So that's my IP for my Casa. And then let's say 9 cents, right? If it drops below 9 cents, it'll turn itself off. Go ahead and clear this out. Set that to none. We're going to hit update here. Now, if I click on this, actually, I already had a coin there. Let's go ahead and delete this one. I've got a couple options. I can add specific coins that I want to mine individually, or I can tell it to import everything from that what to mine configuration. For this case, I'm just going to add a couple. And what you can do is you can actually leverage it a few ways. There's a lot of coins on what to mine that actually aren't on this main page, but they're on the coin section. So an example of this is Ycash. If we head over to Ycash, Ycash used to be on the main page, but it's not anymore. But you can still run calculations on it. So what we do is we come over here, and let's say we have 100 hashes, and the power we really don't care about. One thing you'll notice here, and the reason it's not listed on the main page, is the exchange rate is all zeros. So we click here, and then what I like to do is head over to CoinMarketCap. This won't be a common occurrence, but this can happen. And we go to Ycash, and we see this is the current exchange rate. So I'm just going to copy this exchange rate, and I'm going to plug that in here, hit calculate. We can see that our revenue would actually be 50 cents on this one. So then what I can do is I can click this JSON link, copy this whole thing, head back over, and in this dropdown, you're going to see basically every coin the application supports. This is anything that's on the What to Mine homepage, anything that's on the What to Mine coins, anything that's on the What to Mine ASIC page. In addition, basically any coin supported by Zerkpool, Mining Dutch, Pro Hashing. There's a bunch of different sources that are used to calculate. So for this case, we've got Ycash. Let's go ahead and select that. And we can just paste under the What to Mine override endpoint. We're just going to paste that in. And if you are dual mining, you can pick a secondary ticker. So what I like to do is I like to dual mine all my rigs with my CPU, right? So I do Varus for everything. And let's just say for Varus, we can actually do the same thing. We head back over to what to mine. We go to coins. Grab Varus coin. And let's say we can stick with 30 mega hash. That's fine. And we do current values. Hit calculate. Grab that JSON. And we're going to paste that under our secondary override. And this power will be your total rig power for everything it's doing. So that means it's going to factor in, and this is why we left power as 0 on that what to mine page, because it's going to factor in both algos together. So let's just say our system was consuming 500 watts for all of that. And then under flight sheet, you could select your flight sheet. I'll just select a random one. It's really not going to matter. We will just, you know what, we'll actually leave it blank. Groups. This is where you can define, if you had set up a mining group, you can define what group this applies to. And then obviously you can turn on. We're going to hit update. And here you can see we're losing 44 cents on this. But this gives you an idea of how you could factor this in, right? So if we clear out power, set that to 0. Here you can see without power, it would have been 76 cents. However, when we're factoring in power, whoops. Get back there. Sorry, I hit the back button on the mouse. Whenever we're factoring in power, obviously it's going to result in a loss. So, I mean, you can use this just to periodically check profitability, even if you don't want to turn on profit switching. In order to turn on profit switching, you do have to set enabled on the rig, and you also have to set enabled on the coins. And you'll have to plug in your hash rate for each coin, but as I mentioned before, this supports pretty much everything on what to mine, Zerg, Pro Hashing, Mining Dutch. So what that means is if you want to do nice hash, you can do nice hash. You can have it switch in between those. If you want it to do Zerg, which isn't on what to mine, but the system can factor it mixed in with your what to mine, you can do that. You can do Zerg. Now, one thing with Zerg and with Pro Hashing, if you're doing something like ETC, hash rate straightforward, right? Like if I had 100 mega hash, that's straightforward. However, if you're doing a different coin on Zerg, let's just take, let's do one of the Equihash ones, I guess. Let's do like Equihash 144. If you were doing this and it was 100 sols, you wouldn't put 100 here. You would want to convert basically a hash to mega hash. So what I like to do is there's a hash power converter. This is probably the easiest one to use. It's on coinguides.com. And if you plug in 100, you can grab the mega hash and you can head over and you can plug that in. Again, this only applies to Zerg pool and Pro Hashing and Mining Dutch, right? It's always going to be, if you're using a what to mine override endpoint, it'll pull in whatever you configured when you copied that what to mine URL. If you're not using a what to mine URL, you want to plug in your hash rate in a mega hash number. Same thing with your secondary ticker. Let's say we wanted to do Zerg Varus, and we only had 6 mega hash on this rig, right? And then you don't have to do anything with the what to mine endpoints because it's going to pull off of Zerg profitability. And then you can just set your power, you can set your flight sheet, turn it on, and you're good to go. Same thing with Pro Hashing. Oops. Right, all the Pro Hashing algos are on here. And you will also see, in addition to Pro Hashing, you'll see Mining Dutch. So Mining Dutch is a little less known. but I've used Mining Dutch on and off since 2019, I want to say. I've been using it for quite a while. It works well, it's just their fees are a little high. So that's how you set up your rigs. Now if we hop on over to the Gold Shell ASICs, here's another thing you can take advantage of. So if you have Gold Shell ASICs and they're on the same network as where you're running your Hive OS rigs, typically a home miner, this would be the case. You can come over here, you can hit import Gold Shell ASICs, it'll ripple through, import everything for you, and you can profit switch. Now, one thing I will say, something like a CK box, where you can only direct mine CKB, Gold Shell doesn't really work with the nice hash protocols, so that's why I don't have nice hash in here. You probably shouldn't even put it in here, but I have it in here just so I can manage them. LB box is very easy to leverage across direct mining it, Mining Dutch, and Zergpool. Sometimes Zergpool is more profitable. You can actually see right now, Mining Dutch is actually more profitable, and this has been a case for about the past week. These all kind of flip-flop back and forth. And you can see 5 cents and 6 cents. This is why you want to make sure you have that threshold set. That way you're not constantly switching between those. In the event Mining Dutch falls off, you don't want to just be constantly switching between those. On the script miners, you can leverage the primary and the secondary options to handle merge mining for like Doge and Litecoin. So on this case, right, we've got 205 mega hash on both, and we've got our what to mine, and we basically set this up that our primary coin's Litecoin, our secondary coin is Doge. It will factor both into profitability. So this is true merge mining profitability. It supports Zerg, supports pro hashing, Mining Dutch, nice hash. This is an example of kind of combining both direct mining and algo mining. And then another very powerful feature is, in addition to profit switching and essentially updating your pool settings, I guess I should have covered that, right? So the way the Gold Shell one works is you define all these, and then there's no flight sheet, right? So you define the pool endpoint, the username, the password, right? And then what will happen is it will actually update your settings on your Gold Shell ASIC to those. In addition, if you have an HS box or an HS Lite, pretty much any of the handshake ones, that they actually have dual algorithms. So in addition to just changing pool information, it can also switch the algorithm for you. So if you look at the handshake one, what we have right now is I've got handshake and Sia coin defined, and under the algo section, I have the algorithm defined. So what this will do is, right now Sia coin's the most profitable. If handshake becomes the most profitable, it will actually change the algo configuration on the ASIC before it changes the pool information, or approximately at the same time. So this is an easy way to handle both coin switching within the algo and also algo switching altogether with the Gold Shell ASICs. Moving on to auto exchanging. So this is kind of the last feature we have. And what you can do is you can configure a set number of exchanges. I'm working on adding a lot more. This is one of the newer features to the tool. If you mine to an exchange, or even if you don't mine to an exchange and you just periodically send funds to exchange manually, you can have the system auto exchange those for you. So it's basically auto executing the orders, and then you can also have it auto withdraw to one of your addresses. So as an example, if we come over and we look at CoinX, Right off the bat, if I click it, we can see my real-time balances on the exchange. If you have a CoinMarketCap API key configured, you can see US dollar representation. And here, what we have is I'm having it auto exchange everything into Flux, with the exception of Ethereum. You can define as many exceptions as you want. So I'm basically telling it, if I have ETH on the exchange, don't touch the ETH. I want it left intact. The trading pair, a lot of exchanges, you will have to trade to one currency, usually either BTC or stablecoin, before you can trade to your final trading pair. So as an example, if I send Firo to the exchange, I can't go direct Firo to Flux. That's not a valid trading pair. I would either have to go Firo to BTC and then BTC to Flux, or Firo to USDT and then USDT to Flux. So here I can define that trading pair that I wanted to execute against for me. Typically, if you're on the stablecoins, the fees are as little as they'll be. And then you have to define your API key and your API secret, which you can get from your account. KuCoin also requires a passphrase. And then with KuCoin, you have multiple accounts. You have basically a main account, and then you have a trading account. If you're auto exchanging to it, or if you're mining to the exchange, you can have the system auto move your funds from your main account to your trading account for you before it executes the auto exchanging routine. And then you can also define auto withdrawals, right? So if we would auto convert to Flux, we want to withdraw Flux, we've got our Flux address in there. And then if we keep scrolling to the right here, we have a withdrawal minimum setup and we have a fee setup. So I'm basically telling it, once it gets over 1 Flux, to auto withdraw it to my account. The big reason I'm doing this right now is because of the snapshot coming up. I want all that Flux out as soon as possible. The withdrawal fees are around 0.01, so that's why that is set in here. So just an example of what you can do. You will want to check fees, and especially on the withdrawal fee side, on a lot of these smaller exchanges like TXBit, which is real popular for a lot of newer coins, but their withdrawal fees are really high. I like to use Dash to move funds on these. So as an example, the Dash fee on this one, I believe, is actually 0.04, which is what I have in there right now. The Litecoin withdrawal fee is like 0.09, or maybe it's even 0.1. And so it's a substantial difference between those. So I like using Dash to kind of move funds around when I need to. Same thing with South Exchange. South Exchange isn't as bad, but the Dash fees are still a lot less than they are on, say, Litecoin or pretty much any other coin. Oh, most coins support Dash. I like to kind of use that to move my funds around. But that's pretty much it for the features. I'm always looking at adding new features. I will probably be putting a page on here to do like a feature request for the future. Right now, we're kind of tracking everything through the Discord. Just anytime somebody has a feature request. And then in GitHub, we're maintaining a roadmap of things. So the big things coming in the future on the roadmap are really additional exchange support. And there's a couple minor things. We did get a request to add basically a supplemental power consumption option. So if you're running AC units or anything like that, or box fans, and you want that to be factored in as like a miscellaneous power on top of the rig power, we're going to probably be adding that as an option. That'll get calculated into the profitability. But that's kind of where we're at right now with the mining tools. And it has been a pretty long video, but just kind of wanted to give you a walkthrough. of all of the current functionality since it has changed a lot over, the past 2 months or so. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you're using it. Let me know if you think there's anything that you would find useful that's already implemented. And let me know if there's things that you would find useful that stand out to you that are not implemented yet.